and then we can fight the good fight. And the other scripture I got, which I shared on Friday, I'm just going to touch on it, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, is Psalm 149, which speaks of the people of God praising him on their beds. You know that one? How many of you have read that and it struck you? Praising God on their beds, because probably you praised God on your bed. Thank you for sharing. Having the high praises in their mouth, and a sword in their hand. And it talks to them binding up the kings and binding up rulers. It's an interesting, strange combination in that psalm. It talks about the people of God worshiping God on one hand and holding a sword in the other. Worshiping God and then binding up rulers and fighting the fight. And I believe that's something for us, because I believe God has called us to fight a good fight and to make a stand in a time of apostasy, just like in the Bible. But to do that, we have to be in worship and praise, because victory comes in worship and praise. I've shared this before, that the armies of Israel at the front line were the worshipers. And that's saying that you're dealing with something, you're in a fight, don't get so wrapped up in the fight that you forget to praise God. Put God first and you will win your fight. Praise God at all times. Praise is a powerful, powerful thing. And worship is powerful. And that is the power of our fight. You're stay in God's presence, you'll be able to fight any fight. And we have to be staying in the presence of God. We have to remember that in all things, no matter what we do. The first thing is we need to be more and more praising God, more and more in worship of God. And if we do that, we will overcome all things. And we'll be able to fight. And that's true together, and that's true individually. You're dealing with things. Don't get so wrapped up in your problems. Get wrapped up in praising God. And you will advance in the Lord. And all times, God will give victory. It said, these are the ones who have the high praises of God on their lips and a sword in their hand. Now, I want to move to what I have not shared. Well, one thing I got on the weekend, it was in Zephaniah, where the Lord says he will give to his people praise and renown. And I believe this is a very simple word right now, but I believe he's giving praise and renown to us. Open up to Esther 4. Esther 4. And this is a word I've got here for this year. And we're going to start from verse 13. And you're going to know this word right away. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther and said, do not think that you alone shall escape in the king's house of all the Jewish people. For if you keep silent at this time, deliverance shall arise for the Jews from another place. But you and your father's house shall perish. And here it is. And who knows that you have come to royal position for such a time as this. The situation, to get the context, Esther, the queen of Persia, Jewish, secret, her identity in the closet, comfortable, has riches, has fame, has wealth, has beauty, has power. But now her nation's in crisis. And she's the only one who can do something about it. But she doesn't want to risk what she has, losing what she has. And Mordecai says to her, you better risk it, Esther. Because if you don't, you're going to lose it anyway. He says, for who knows that you have come to royal position for such a time as this. In other words, he's saying, Esther, everything in your life is leading up to this moment. That your whole life was leading up to this moment. Everything. You becoming an orphan. You becoming put into the king's palace. It's all been leading up to this. Interesting thing. The theme of this presidential inaugural breakfast turns out to be this very verse. And this scene, it deals with, Esther's going to call for the people to fast, meaning to pray and fast before God. But it also involves her going to the place of power, to the throne. Esther was in the capital city. This year is going to begin, we're going to be in the capital city. Esther was speaking to power, and in a sense, we will as well. We'll be government leaders. And we may do more of this year. but that our attitude here is whatever we do for God, it's going to be worth nothing if we don't risk for God, if we don't step out for God. If we do something for God that's going to make a difference, it's going to be controversial. You cannot make a difference ever in this world if it's not controversial. Because if it's not controversial, you're not making a difference. If you're bringing light into darkness, the darkness is not going to be thrilled about it. We must proclaim God's word. We must seek to save as many as we can, just as Esther had to do this. And take them. Esther is being told by Mordecai, everything you have, don't fear losing it, because everything you have may be only for this purpose. And if you don't step out in God, you're going to lose the whole thing. For such a time as this, saying, Esther, your entire life was leading up to this. It's a sense of destiny with God's people. That, in other words, now, and I'm sensing this for us, now is the time to rise. There is a purpose. God knows the purpose for which we were created. God knows the purpose for which we as a ministry were created. I believe this word is for us, that this is a year to rise up and to step up to the plate, and even if it means risk and speak to power and in high places, that we may see the reason we came into existence. That the reason was for such a time as this. That everything was leading up to this. So also there's a sense in God, the more you're in the center of God's will, the more you will see the appointed destiny of God fulfilled in your life. A lot of times if you're saying, I want to know God's will in my life, I want to know, I don't know what it is. Well, the key thing is make sure get your life in the will of God you already know. Make sure that everything is in obedience to God. As much as you can, get your life more in his will, and the destiny, the appointed will for God, the special will for your life will come true. But it comes through that. If you're not obeying God in what you know, how is he going to bless you in what you don't? You want to see what God, the more you walk in the will that God has already given for your life, the more you're going to walk into the exact will that you don't know yet. But lift it all up in God. This is the only way you can fulfill the calling God has given in your life is to lift it all up to him and just, Lord, whatever, use me as your vessel. Esther said, if I perish, I perish. But only by doing that did she find her purpose in life. Only in that did she become the Esther that God ordained. And I believe that this word is for this year, that there is an appointed destiny for which we were made and for which we exist. And we need to rise to it, because the only way we can ever have it is by rising in this way. Now I want to give you another one, and then I'm going to get to the name.